on this computer. Okay.
Introduction and explanation. Dear reader, the Mamu Wenini represents a distilled version of the essential records of the Midday we win, a revered priesthood committed to safeguarding the sacred knowledge, history, and ceremonies that span the American continent. From approximately 600 BC to 400 AD, the Midday we win guided the spiritual, social, and economic lives of the peoples of the waters, or Mamu Wenini, across the vast region known as Abya Yala, stretching from the Arctic to the Antarctic, influenced by the visits of the traveling star people and the arrival of prophets, including the great peacemaker. The priests of the Midewin were instrumental in governing nearly every facet of society. This era was marked by significant events occurring both before and after the establishment of the Great Law of Peace by the Great Peacemaker. Our narrative is deeply rooted in the traditions, knowledge, and sacred records of the Midday we win. While the Iroquois have sometimes linked the Great Peacemaker's era with the age of the Ganawida and Hiawatha, we affirm that the Ganawida and Hiawatha merely followed the path set by the Great Peacemaker, who sought to reestablish the good way of living upon Abya, a way established a millennium earlier by the Great Peacemaker Yaha Jowa. Between 300 and 500 AD, a significant war rooted in spiritual and political divisions erupted across the Americas, dividing the 7 nations that once shared a single capital situated on 7 lakes. Over a millennium later, the arrival of Europeans inspired the 7 nations to consider reunification. The decision was made to allow the Europeans to form the Eighth Fire, or the Eighth Great Empire, to share the land, viewed as a great bowl, with the understanding that all would share in its use, symbolized by the one spoon. This agreement was formalized at the 1701 Great Peace of Montreal. However, the envisioned unity was never fully realized, as the Europeans misunderstood the treaties as a relinquishment of the bowl, rather than an invitation to share it in peace. Today, we continue to seek true peace. The primary mission of the Midu priests is to teach kindness and unity and to impart a profound understanding of history, songs, teachings on creation, and the way beings coexist within it. Yet even as late as the 1990s, openly declaring one's association with the Midday we win could be perilous due to lingering prejudices from the Great Wars over a millennium ago. Many Midu elders were tragically lost as the spiritual wars from the 3rd and 4th centuries concluded in the 1990s. Those who remained chose students from the new generation to pass on the teachings and sacred bundles, keeping the fire alive to ensure that the conflicts of the past do not become the tragedies of future generations. These spiritual conflicts have never been fully comprehended by Western civilization or Christianity. The great struggle was rooted in differing beliefs that can be seen as a battle between the letter of the law and the spirit of the law. One side of priests associated with the color red believe that our spirit is centered in the heart and emphasize sacrificing our heart through service to family and community. The opposing side, associated with the color blue, believed in the literal liberation of the spirit from the body through removal of the heart via blood sacrifice, advocating for the idea of freeing one's spirit by laying it upon the altar. In embracing the wisdom of the Midday we win, we honor the enduring legacy of our ancestors and strive to foster a world grounded in kindness, compassion, and unity for all. This record contains the following: Misquabic Ojibwe, the Copper Records. The Misquabic Ojibwe are teachings etched onto large copper plates. A significant addition was authored in the 1st century by Midewin high priest and record keeper Gaanabit, who is also known as Aganabish. Following the great peacemaker's journey south, Gaanabid composed a memorial for the peoples of what is now the Great Lakes region. This memorial shared early history, beginning with the creation of the world. The source of these teachings was the ancient first copper plates, believed to have been brought from across the seas. Later in life, copper tablets, sent from the lands of the Maya, would be the final public release of Gaanabid. The birch bark scrolls. When knowledge was meant to be shared, authorized versions would be translated from the original metal plate or stone tablet source onto birch bark paper, which could easily be rolled and carried to various locations across vast distances. Included are the birch bark scrolls of the Bite Pike teaching given by the great peacemaker to the Algonquin, the Book of the Three Brothers, who were with the peacemaker and who founded the Three Fires Confederacy, and the Seven Fires Prophecy and the Great Migration. The red plates of copper and gold. The red plates of copper and gold are crafted from a unique blend of copper and gold, resulting in a deep rust-like color. These plates provide a comprehensive account of the great peacemaker, Yahajua, as chronicled by Medu High Priest Aganabish. Aganabish accompanied Yahajua and observed his journey throughout the Great Lakes region of North America. Subsequently, additional copper tablets were discovered in the southern regions of Central and South America and were brought to Aganabish later in his life. These tablets contain further records of Yahajua's teachings and include a message from his journey with the Maya and the Azteca. The silver records. The silver plates are gleaming records that reflect like a mirror. They are bound by two rings, each approximately 2 fingers thick. These plates are quite small with dimensions no larger than the average hand. They serve as documented records of those who acted as stewards of the gold and copper records of the great peacemaker from the original account with Yahajua. The final record recorded keeper to inscribe upon the plates was Tawa Dizi, the last keeper of the record, who inscribed the final teaching in approximately 250 AD. The Book of Waban. The Book of Waban is a compilation of 7 sacred birch bark scrolls, authored in 1370 AD by Medu High Priest Waban, a seer and the keeper of the bark among the Omani Wenini, the original Algonquin people. These scrolls were inscribed at the confluence of 2 rivers. During this gathering, it was decided that the core teachings of the Midegah Win, known as the Great Truth, should be shared. This dissemination aimed to help the people distinguish between great deceivers and Creator-sent great peacemakers. Conclusion. To ensure that the wisdom and teachings of the Midegah Win continue to enlighten and guide future generations, it is essential that these records be preserved, studied, and shared. The depth of history, spirituality, and unity encapsulated within these documents stands as a testament to the lasting legacy of the Midegah Win and the profound impact of the great peacemaker's message. By presenting this narrative, we acknowledge that the very figure at the center of spiritual division in the world is rooted in our lands. The knowledge and understanding of our ancestors, who championed peace and unity, will resonate today and with future generations, as we also knew a peacemaker and many peacemakers upon our lands. They have been called many names to provide sound to their many attributes, but to one the Midegah encountered, he declared he was the one who spreads the treasure of love, which is kindness, Yahajua. By cherishing and embracing these teachings, we honor the traditions of our forebears, and in doing so, we fulfill the promise of remembering their wisdom. So, that, and feel free to share that.
Okay. Feel free to share. I will. Obviously, depending on our free will, we will choose it, and we will, and certainly this will be all the rage among many of us in the sense
Yeah.
of we want to know more. And I was going to show you this um, screen three.
Yeah,
Whatever
this is
whatever random thing that goes on with God, I was chosen to translate this. This is a 600 BC to
the
100 AD record. It's a compilation, and these records are about 4 inches, 4 to 5 inches tall.
yeah.
But this is what we got from Mount Sinai of all places.
Yeah, that's what ours do. They're all like there's the big ones, there's these big ones.
Hmm.
But all of them are the size of a hand or smaller.
Okay, so this one here has rings. You see, it has the 6 rings, and you can open it to the signature of God. This is this thing that looks like a baseball. That says Yod Hey Vav Hey in the script that King Solomon would have known. And it goes in front of the priest, and then the people know who he's representing. That's what this is. It's one of the books of Zadok. And so these things are coming out. And
Mm,
my question to you is, and I got to translate that. It's a very interesting mix of Babylonian Hebrew and Aramaic. And there's also my question that you're talking about, this copper scroll coming over from
yeah.
Jerusalem. Is that the same as the brass plates? Because brass, of course, is
Yeah.
copper.
Yeah, there's no concept of brass.
No, I
So,
know.
but there is a
Just
there is a creation story that all creation stories are rooted in.
hmm.
And where you go and how long they've been isolated or how long they've been dealing with Europeans, it gets polluted one way or the other.
Or
But
the
ours is referenced, and on the East Coast, they tried to write about it. There's some book that was released that kind of talked about the red records of the Indians in the
hmm.
Northeast. I don't know, back in the early 1900s or something. And they were trying, or 1800s or something. They were trying to say the Indians have a red book. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's this. We had people of the star who froze in the Great Lakes. They froze in the actually not they didn't even make it there. They made it to the Ottawa River that comes off the St. Lawrence. There's
Okay.
a bay there called the Lake of Two Mountains. It's not a lake, but it's just what they call it. And in that place is where the first encounter with the Jews occurred. They weren't called Jews. They were called people of the star. They had a big damn star on there that they carried around. And so people can say, when did the Star of David appear? Blah, 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 blah. We don't care because we can say whoever the hell used that was using that in about 5 or 6 or 700 BC
Yeah.
because they brought that to our land and showed us how to make it. And when
Hmm.
they did, they made a treaty with us and they combined sticks in all directions, 2 sticks instead of one. They put down one stick in all directions and it made the Star of David. And so they changed it with two, regardless. The the point is, at that time, we also had within one generation another group that came across the Pacific. So one came across the Atlantic, and it was the later migration. It's the one that I'm not stupid. It came when the lodge collapsed, when the temple was destroyed. This would have been Mulek's family and his sisters, his 2 sisters that
Yeah.
stayed up at
The
the Great
temple was,
Lakes.
yeah, Mulek.
2 sisters.
Mm.
Mulek continued traveling down south. He was
Hmm.
taken by an old man, I think it was Jeremiah, but I know where he's buried. He's buried in Palenque. Him and the old man are buried up in a cave over Palenque. He's
Whoa.
called the boy with the golden shield. He had a big golden shield with a big star on it that was like the sun.
Mm.
And that's this boy. And he taught everybody everything. He was super smart.
Mm.
But as he was going down, they ran into another group. The other group came across the Pacific. They left Jerusalem earlier. But
Hmm.
because they went across Asia and the islands and all that crap, they took longer and they hit the western side of the Yucatan. These are the forebearers of what you'd call the Muskogean language peoples,
Mm.
the peoples of the Southeast, the Chickasaw, Choctaw, Cherokee. The Cherokee are a hybrid of them and the Iroquois, but Iroquois are immigrants too. So there is a group of people that migrated, and there were people in Central America and they had to deal with them. And the Maya know all about them. And they migrated north and they ran into Mulek. And
Yep.
his name was even held up when they held up the elders when we were down there in a circle. One of them was MLK. No one even asked the question. I went up and they were talking about their line
MLK.
of
Really?
succession of
There's Hebrew
what's
right
that?
there.
Yeah. They had this surrounded the tree of their leaders back their lines of succession to hold the ceremony. And they had so many of them. But the what's the point of this? What's the point? What was the original question?
Well, are we going to get the brass plates?
Yeah, so that's what you're getting the first teaching. There are
Hmm.
five, te I think there's six teachings, but this is the first teaching. And it is because the big dispute is on creation,
Hmm.
man and woman. Well, we're going to
Hmm.
resolve that. Men and women were formed together, period. They stood up together, they were separated. The man was the one chastised, not the woman.
Yep.
So So we're going to clarify that. And so that's the first one. That means there's going to be more releases. When? I have no idea. But apparently that record still exists and big, it's a really big, they show or Nephi carrying these little plates. It is
Right.
a really big copper plated book.
And is it being translated?
It is, they've already had it translated.
Already done. Okay.
It's been translated. There's some parts are picked. One portion of it is the songs that you have to sing it,
Yep.
and so this is oral, and you
So
have
it's
to know the
Psalms.
sentences.
Yep. Hmm.
It's a high priest language, and I know
Hmm.
what I know. The lower portion is the text, and that's syllabic, and so that's our
Really?
language.
It is
They've known
syllabic.